guys, welcome once again to the Raj Call podcast. I've got an amazing guest today, who I've actually known for a while. He doesn't know that I know him for a while, but we'll talk about that in a little while. So I'm going to introduce to you Bups Saggu. How are you, bro?
I'm all right, Raj. How are you, man? How are
Yeah,
you?
thanks. How you been?
I've been all right, been busy. It's been a very busy wedding season. I'm a DJ as well, obviously.
Yeah.
So I've been very busy with that, been busy just finishing my album. I've got a couple of EPs for other artists. And yeah, it's just been constant. And the kids have been on holidays as well during the season. So it's been a very hectic few months, gotta say.
Oh, cool. So how's your music releases? I heard you had just a release in June, didn't you? Just a
We
few
had
months ago.
I think it was June or July, just before I got really, really slammed, to the point where it's just been constant gigging. So it's which is good. Shows have been busy. So I had my last release was July, but then I just finished my album now, which
Oh
is my
wow.
solo album. Yeah, yeah. My fourth album, of my career solo album, and I've got a couple of artists that I've signed up. One is an artist I'm working with, for example, Jordan, which is the last one I released in
Yeah.
July, and with so we finished his EP. Just collaborated with an American, a Californian artist. Finished his EP, and yeah, just over 50 completed songs at this point in time. So now it's just scheduling them to release as well as other, work for other clients.
That's crazy. How do you balance your DJing and your music production? Because that must be like and family life as well.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, to be fair, it's all part of the team. Like, and the power of delegation is brilliant, and having a team is great. So I have a team that takes care of the live side of things with the road shows and with the weddings and bookings and etc. Where I can help out, I do. Otherwise, I'm very busy with making music. Pretty much every other day. I'm like slammed in the studio. So I try to balance it out so I've got family time. I'm a full-time dad during the daytimes. We're saying now I do the drop-offs at school and pickups, and then in the evenings, I just put myself in, and lock myself away and continue making music. And the weekends are always busy with events. Um, so yeah, it's just you just find your balance, don't you? You find what works, and so I've been doing that for 2 decades now. So
What I
something's
love
going
about
well.
yourself, Boops, I've got to admit, is that you're always progressing, and I always see you doing like stuff. I remember you were doing like even your YouTube tutorials, doing was it
Yeah,
during
yeah,
lockdown?
yeah, yeah. So that was during lockdown. I had the itch. I'm like I can't not do anything,
Yeah,
right, musically or performing,
yeah,
and this just made sense. I've always wanted to do a lot of YouTube. It's a lot harder now.
yeah,
Now that busy with the children, they're growing up and etc. But with lockdown, I had a lot more time
yeah.
to start that, and I'm actually restarting that. I'm just doing a different format of what the way I want to do it. So my initial take was let's just see if people take this on. There's never been a Punjabi producer on YouTube until I started it.
Yeah, you did.
And
And to be fair, just a bit of feedback. I really enjoyed those sessions. So I was actually looking forward to more. And you had the sample
brilliant.
packs as well, didn't you? With
Yeah,
it?
yeah. So that just came with it. So
Yeah.
it was a case of okay, I can do the YouTube. People are learning. People are enjoying it. I'm enjoying it. It was a lot of work. Don't get me wrong, because it's just something. We were locked down. I didn't really have help apart from what was on YouTube, and tutorials that I could find on how to edit, how to record. So I bought
Yeah.
myself a Sony A7 III
Oh, Bale.
lens. I bought
Expensive piece of equipment.
yeah, yeah. So I bought the stuff that I needed. I'm like, okay, so let's just try this. So it was a lot of trial and error till I found my format. But then the good thing is, but then I just got busy when lockdown opened, show started again.
Of course, yeah.
It just got a lot harder to continue with that because that process used to take me, because I was new to it, right? I couldn't really. It was hard for me. It's hard for me to trust another editor
Mm.
to edit how I wanted to edit. We tried it. It just didn't work, so I had to do it myself. So the process used to take me about 4 days,
God.
right? Yeah, because for me, it was a learning thing on filming.
But the
I can
videos came
tell
out
that.
really good. The videos came out really good. I'm not a
It,
producer, but I enjoyed because you're the only guy who was doing Bhangra like that. I mean, there's loads of them now, but at
yeah,
that
lots now.
yeah, at that point, I think you were the only guy at
I
that point.
was the only one. So this was the scary part. And I'm like, okay, I can see it's been done with hip hop. It's been done with commercial music, reggaeton. You see those producers, but no one's ever done it for Punjabi, right?
Mm,
I thought, let's just see if, this works. And it did. It pretty much, from the first episode, there was great feedback. And then it continued it for months, like, for a very long time. And, but then like I said, it got difficult for me. But I'm finding a new way of coming back into it with something a little more easier for me to shoot and edit and get
mm,
out, a bit more streamlined. Not a whole 30-minute episode like I used to do. But I'll figure that out. But yeah, so after that, the good thing is the wave of producers, their confidence on coming on screen, making beats and sharing their knowledge and their talent. I think people needed someone to break the ice, and I was that person. I broke the ice for being that producer on YouTube and just just go with the flow. It's just off the cuff, and I think the off the cuff with Punjabi producers back in the day, it was difficult because they didn't want to show their errors. I
mm,
don't really care, right? So for me, it says this is who I am. I make errors too, and I'm learning at the same time. Don't get me wrong. When I was doing something, I would learn from the comments if somebody had a better way of doing it. It just
mm,
made me better. But this is just a way of sharing knowledge, right?
mm,
But I'm glad I'm seeing that there's a lot more people emerging, a lot more people you see in the studio making beats, making remixes and stuff, and they're just doing it now because I guess it was just a confidence factor, and I
mm.
guess I was one of them once to start that, get the wheels turning.
Amazing. So, how did you actually get into DJing first, and then obviously into production?
DJ's that's a very long story. So I started in a nutshell, I was a Bhangra dancer at the age of 11. I danced for a local team in Wolverhampton, the oldest Bhangra team in the country, Punjab Bhangra Group. And because I love music. Prior to that, I used to play tabla and learn at my local gurdwara. My mum brought me a dole when she went to India. I was like 8 and 9, so just jamming and just wanted to pick that up. And the way I learnt was quite interesting. So when my mum went to India, I told her to get loads of cassettes of Dholak players and Dole players. And do you remember you used to have those old ghetto blasters where you used to have two cassettes and the plus and minus? I mean,
Yeah,
like one speed, double speed.
yeah,
So I figured out a way of recording double speed on an empty cassette, and they're playing it back normal speed. It'd be half the speed,
yeah,
right? And that's how I picked up because nobody to teach Dole back in the day. This is
yeah,
this is years ago, like 3 decades ago.
yeah.
Right. So then I listened to the sounds of the Dole on half speed, wrote them down. I used to draw a line for the treble side, circle for the bass side, and then just pieced it together. So I taught myself. I think because I taught myself, I was I don't know, I guess my mindset was different when I went into the industry. No one's
Mm.
really taught me how to be industry like groomed,
Yeah,
right? So I was raw. So I guess the Bhangra team saw that, promoted me to like a door player and all sorts. And then I joined the DJs. Back in the day, wedding DJs, there was a handful of main ones, and they saw me perform. They used to dance with the doll as well. So then I started playing with all the main DJs. And then I got the love for DJing, watching them do it, watching them perform live. So, pick that talent up and then started doing just messing around with them live. And then I became a professional at the age of 16. I did my first wedding
that's
at the age
wow. At 16,
of 16. A
you
long
must have
time
been
ago. It was
nervous.
at the Ramada in Solihull. I remember that venue. So
Really?
yeah, And then and that's pretty much it. During that time as well, I was also in the bands like with Suffrey Boys, DCS. I played with everyone you can possibly think of, and in the live scene back in the day. So I was juggling that and my DJing at weddings, and then I was DJing in clubs whilst at uni. So yeah, it was just a natural progression, I guess. Production
And
came up.
how did you get into? How did that lead to production?
It's always been the love of music, and it's just trial and erroring myself, not really having, musically, no one's ever taught me. I've just kind of picked it up by ear, right? So I kind of knew my way around the keyboard a little. But then after my degree in accounting, yeah, after my degree in accounting, I moved to London for a bit and studied at IMW, Islington Music Workshop. As a really good teacher called Simon Tilbrook, and taught me a lot about the sonics and music production and piecing things together, different equipment, the MIDI side of things, the audio side of things.
Mm,
I think that was the missing piece. I needed that
mm,
knowledge on how to do it myself because the ideas are in here, yeah. And the thing is, it's hard if it's good. It sounds great in your head, right? But you need to get that out on paper, well, onto the
mm.
computer and spools back in the day. So it was just how do I translate from there to there, and and trigger, channel that, and that's what it was. So I think I needed that part of how to produce, which I did in London. I came back, started producing my own work, left my job, completely broke, put all the money into making music, making my first album, on my first solo album, and was redefined with Lemberg, Pooja, Nagamia.
Yeah.
I had loads of people on there. I can't remember.
Yeah.
Nashatar Gill. It was a big album.
Those are the days,
Um,
weren't it? Bups? Those are the
those are the
days.
days. And we actually had physical sales as well, like
Yeah.
actual CDs that sold, not streams. Um, and yeah, did the album. The album did well, really well. Sold a lot of units. Kind of put me on the map, gave me that confidence. Okay, I can do this again. Then the following year, when I dropped Punjabi Hood, it just kind of cemented my position in the industry.
But even now, that's a dance floor banger. That
It's an
is.
anthem. I can't top it. Doesn't matter
Yeah.
what I do. But it's great. It's a great thing.
Yeah. Interestingly, I'll tell you a little story because I mentioned that I've known you.
You know
You
me.
probably don't
Yeah.
remember me. I know you mentioned a little story. Interestingly, I actually came to your studio. See, I used to work with Ritz, just Ritz.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so I'll tell you a funny story actually. So I came
Is
to
it
your studio,
the studio at my dad's
uh,
upstairs?
right at the loft. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's the
yeah,
one.
yeah.
So I came to your studio, and it was my bad. You know, when you're young, you don't think straight. You just sort of I've sang a song before. I'm just gonna go in the studio and I'm gonna belt this song out without actually doing the math behind it, right? So I sang this
Did I
song,
kick
and
you out?
huh?
Did I kick you out?
No, you didn't kick me out. No, you
Oh,
didn't kick
okay,
me
okay. Because I
out.
wouldn't do that. Oh, that's bad.
No,
I
no, you didn't kick.
apologize now, but
No, you
okay.
didn't. No, you didn't kick me out. But you noticed that my vocal was terrible. It
Okay.
was rubbish, and you didn't mention it to me directly. I mean, you were polite enough, but you mentioned Ritz. Does he? You sort of hinted it to him, which was fair, which was a fair comment because when you're young and you have that sort of Jalma Karlenda without actually having the ment and the gyan, because as you said, there's hardly any teachers, in the
They
Midlands,
weren't back in that day. No, no.
especially vocal teachers.
Yeah.
There weren't
No,
many
no. It
vocal
was
teachers.
tough, especially in the kind of way we want to perform.
Exactly, yeah. So there was Mantalashiji who taught Shin and stuff, but I remember I tried to get less, but I couldn't get in contact with. But even then, when you're younger, you have a sort of like Arlinda, like
Yeah, Jahunda. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. So, and then that's how I know your studio, and I looked, at that song. This must be 15, 20 years back,
Yeah,
maybe.
yeah. This is a long time ago. This must
Yeah.
be close to 2008.
Hi guys, this is Raj Kaul. Thanks so much for listening to the podcast. If you want to support the rest of my music, if you could go and check me out on Spotify, on Apple Music, and add my songs to your playlists if you like them. Thank you.
याद तेरी जद आउंदी सोहणीए साह साडे रुक जांदे ने
Bloody hell.
Yeah, probably about that time. And interestingly, I've actually that song I recorded in your studio. The vocal was terrible, right? And it's nothing to do with you. It was basically my man wasn't there. And I'm just re-releasing that song. Well, actually, officially re-releasing it now next month in
Oh,
October.
brilliant. Oh, wicked.
Obviously with the
Re-vocaled, yeah.
yeah, obviously with the man now, and a bit the
Good.
more training and stuff, and sitting
Good
down
on
in
you,
the
man.
studio. So obviously, so that's how I know you from there. And you've always left a good impression because you knew what you were talking about even then, in your studio, and it was all. What I remember about your studio, it was all wooden
Yeah,
cladding.
cladding. So it was yeah. So I because I treated it myself. So I had an acoustic engineer come in, say you need this. I got the materials, got the measurements, and kind of did it myself. It wasn't perfect, but it was exactly, once you learn your environment,
It
I
was
think
really
that's
nice. It was really
yeah.
nice. I don't
Yeah,
remember
yeah,
that
it
impression.
was really warm. It was welcoming. And it was all I could afford.
I think I lost your reception.
Side of things, which is kind of obsolete now.
Sorry,
But
I lost you just for a few seconds. Lost you.
yeah. So I'm saying it was. I put a lot into that. I mean, all that I could really have. It wasn't the most expensive studio. It was expensive, but it's. I think I spent a lot more money on the equipment that I wanted because
What's
for me,
Jahundani? Javi
exactly
Hunda Billani.
down there. And the thing is, it's not like Splice right now or Arcade.
Gosh, yeah,
You can just find sounds and
yeah,
sample packs. Back in the day, you had MIDI devices
yeah,
to make your sounds
yeah.
and then layer your sound. So I had a lot of MIDI units, which you probably remember. It was just racks of them because that's where I could find my sounds. I physically had to buy the MIDI devices, where now you can just take a sample of Splice in 2 seconds and just throw
Dude,
it in.
I've worked with producers now, and they've just in a day they've just made a track with Splice. And I went on Splice the other day. You can put the genre in, and it just does the stems for you.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It
The
does the
thing
stems
is,
for you for a track.
using Splice and using samples is a great thing,
Yeah.
right? Like I use even in my tutorials I was showing, because this is the new age of producers and is a good thing, is a good tool to have. The idea is how do you make it your own,
Hmm.
and how do you having a sample is great. Having like because I've on my tutorials I've just had one sample and how have I transformed that one sample into a song. Like
Hmm.
how I've manipulated that sample, chopped it up, done whatever, because that's the idea behind it. You see, like sometimes you need inspiration. I think Splice is a great place for
Hmm.
inspiration.
Absolutely, yeah.
But I don't encourage people just taking layers from Splice and putting it together, putting it out there. That just don't make sense. That's like having, I don't know, macaroni and cheese with curry. Yeah, that's a silly analogy, but it doesn't make sense, right? You
Yeah.
can make a portrait of things by just taking samples and just solely relying on that. But if it's specific to a vocal, to a composition, to a melody,
Yeah.
you need to learn how to manipulate it or see what works with it
Absolutely.
as a bass
Last
layer, as a texture, whatever.
My last podcast I had, it's interesting you say that, was with a guy called Zane Zane I can't pronounce his name. Anyway, he's Zane anyway. So he described the process, what you're saying now, as being like a chef, knowing how to put the ingredients together.
That's
Whereas
the tool. That's always been the case, Raj.
yeah,
It's always been the case of what sounds to pick.
yeah.
Now, if you're producing a song, there's different methods of working to, right? You do get some producers that just pick anything. Oh, this sounds good. This may sound good. Then they chuck it all in and then figure it out. See, I've done that a few times and I do that now and again. It's called a process of elimination,
Mhm.
right? Or you can just listen to the sound, say, yep, this is what I want. This is going to go with it. Yep, if I pitch this, da 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 da. I'm at that stage now where I can hear something 5 semitones higher in a faster, tempo or slow tempo. Think,
Mhm.
okay, this will fit because of this reason, but I can foresee that, right? Um, most of the time, not all the time, but it's about picking the right ingredients, and the thing is the right sound. You can get it terribly right or terribly wrong. Do you know what I
Mm.
mean? It's just I just think also there's two ways of looking at it. Picking the right sounds, having the right ingredients, just like Zane said, which is exactly what you need to do. Less is more, right? And learning to commit.
Hmm.
And these three things are very important for any producer, especially if you're on a time scale. Like I get a lot of client work. So I know I've got specific time. I need to pick the right sounds, and it can't be overly produced. That's a big problem too.
Hmm.
When you got splice and other sample packs, they're layered. A lot of the sounds are layered. If you got melody or music or whatever going on, so that can clutter a lot of things.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Is learning what to use so you still got space for other elements like the vocals, which is a big part of the song. Yeah, so I think it's just a trial and error
Hmm.
process. You just need to do it more and more and more to understand what you need.
Gotcha. The other thing I noticed about Splice was one of my songs. One of the producers, he did a garage song. I didn't know he used Splice, but then um
You heard it
uh
somewhere else.
yeah, I heard the same sample somewhere else. Then I
Yeah,
thought,
it's normal. This is the day and age we
yeah,
live in. You know, you hear 10 songs within the same quarter, 3 months, they've got the
mm,
same sample one way or another.
yeah.
You know what I
And,
mean?
and
It's
and
just the
and
way
the
it
biggest
is.
one is that Dumbi sample, isn't it? Like that's been used for about 20 years.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So like it's just that's the thing. It's just how it depends on how original you want to make your stuff. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like for me, if I want to make it authentic or specific, I still get instruments recorded because I think it's important to have some element that makes sense. If you know, sometimes you can get away with it. Hip hop
Mm,
music, do you know what I mean? When I make a lot of hip hop beats, you can manipulate that to your favor.
mm.
But if you're doing something a bit more melodic, then old-fashioned recording specific is, you know, you can't beat that.
Is it is it harder to do now? Like get live recording in these days
No,
because
no.
sampling's so easy, or is it the same?
Well, sampling's at your disposal. And
Mm,
if I'm doing an acoustic song, right? I know, okay, I need to start the process now, right? I can use real guitar, I can map out, I can play MIDI wise, you know, use different plugins to get that. You're not going to get that same authentic sound. Or if I find a riff online, okay, we can work around this. Once I put that in play, then I can get my guitarist in and then
mm,
we can just go through and say, this is the melody, this is what I've got. I like this idea of having this constant riff, da 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 da. So it just depends on where your starting point is. But
mhm,
having a recording artist is really easy. Remember, as easy it is and accessible it is to for a producer to have all the tools present right now with the world we live in. The world's a smaller place because of social media. You can find a guitarist in 3 minutes.
mm.
Do you know what I mean? In like your local vicinity, is that easy? It's put out a DM, anyone available right now. Da 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 da. It's very accessible.
Mhm.
It's a good thing. I mean, whether
Abs-
you find the right talent is a different thing.
Absolutely, yeah. We'll move on. Just a quick question. Is it possible just to just walk us through your creative process when producing a track? Obviously, you don't need to go in depth, like,
Yeah.
but
No,
just
I mean, it. There's different routes. I just had a similar conversation with a client of mine earlier today. Um, there's different processes. You may get a singer that walks in who already has his lyrics and he has an idea, has a melody in his head. Okay, that's great. Do you have a reference? Or we work with their reference and or I just make a beat or find a sample. And I need a starting point, Roger. Always need a starting point, whether it's in my head, I need to get it down, or I hear something that I like and I build on that. Or we have lyrics or we have a melody, map them down on a beat and then start building on that, see what works, play a couple of melodies. So my starting process is either drums or find a nice sample that I can work with that will lead to the rest of the song that I can build on, or I play something until I find a melody that I like, or we
Mm,
have a vocal. And then I prefer to build my beat section first. I always prefer that because in my beat section I can kind of build the arrangement how I want it, and then I
mhm,
can hear what I need in the song musically if I've got an arrangement, and is usually with my beat section first. I try to get that as fat as possible. I love hip hop, I love drill, I produce a lot of Afro beat. So for me and Bhangra obviously, so I need my beat section, my rhythm section big. Right, if I got enough space for that, then I know what fits. Sometimes you can make a song so rich musically, your kit is not going to stand out. So long as my kick, my snare, my hats, and everything is spaced how I want it, is sounding big already, then I can just place my sounds where I want to place them. So I usually like get my kick drum section as where I want it sounding, how I want it sounding, arranged how I want it, and then I can pick the other elements and play the other elements to fit in with the vocals and that at the same time. So that's how I usually work. The kick section, the drum section is my preferred method of starting, music and vocals sit in after. Pretty
That's
much
really
it.
interesting. It's really interesting because me as a singer and a lyricist, I always go with composition first and then base it around that. So
Yeah.
so what I would do, I'd work out a melody, work it out on the Vajja or whatever, and then find the chords for that melody and then do the beats after. But
Yeah, yeah.
that's probably
No, that's what I'm saying. They're different methods. So
yeah,
say you were to come into my studio and you've
yeah.
got a song in your head, right? You've got a bass composition, da, 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 da. I mean, okay, once we establish what kind of beat we want, what kind of feel you want,
Mm,
what kind of drums will fit with that, um, then we map them out, and then you can either sing after that stage on top of the beat section, right? Then we can find your melody there. Or
mm,
what I like to do before I record any vocals, I like to try to find the composition that works with the vocalist, put it into the
mm,
mix so the singer gets a better vision of it and a better feeling before recording, rather than just recording on kache beats or just a metronome, because you don't get that feeling. And the problem is as well is a singer always walks in with the melody in their head.
yeah.
I always find that they walk in with one intention and they leave with a different product, right? Always happens, because I like to keep an open mind from the beginning. So
Mm,
instead of committing straight away to a composition, right, a singer has, then the producer's restricted. And I don't like feeling restricted. And I don't want the singer feeling restricted that this is the
mm,
only way this song can be sung. There
mhm,
may be a better way, right?
mm,
Or that way is the right way, but you only got to know once you map it out. So collectively, once the beat section is kind of like, 25%, 30% there, you've got a rhythm to work with. Then you
mhm,
can play around with the composition, right? Okay, let's do this, let's try this. Okay, this sounds better. Let's do it this way. Okay, let's maybe take a couple of things from Splice or whatever, play some chords using, Omnisphere, whatever it is, put it all in, and then we start that process.
mm. Did you have to learn like in terms of composition and melodies? Did you have to learn about the Indian scales, or did you familiarize yourself with them, or just picked it
Just
up on?
me, man. Like, Raj, no one's taught me anything. No, I'll be
That's
honest.
amazing, honestly.
Yeah, no
Amazing.
one's ever taught me, and I'm glad they didn't, because then sometimes, and not all the time, but if I was taught by, I don't know, XYZ teacher, I'm gonna have that,
Mindset.
that vision mindset where people do call me the melody maker. I make a lot of melodies all the time, right?
Mm,
People can walk in with an idea and then I can hear something else or something that may a bit more, depending on the mood of the song, may fit it better. But I've sat in the Shutter Girl's house with the Vajja and he's given me a song. He goes, Bups with a melody, right? And I can just make one on the spot. Same with Lembed. Lembed had one. I had another one. We went with mine. Um, I don't know. It's just for me. It's just I like keeping an open mind. I listen to a lot of music, Raj. I don't listen to just Punjabi music. I
mhm,
usually listen to a lot more other stuff than Punjabi music, right? I love Punjabi music and I love it now even more. There's a lot more hip hop and everything and my
mhm.
kind of thing. But I still listen to other stuff and I prefer it. And I guess having that broad awareness of music just gives you that knowledge of just trying something different.
Hmm. All right, just a bit about your sound, because I've noticed when you first came on the scene, and times were different as well. Then it was very like UK Bhangra sound. You were basically the almost like the flagship sound. You had
Yeah,
it at that
yeah.
time. How's your sound evolved over the years, and what do you feel the most significant turning point of your career? What is in that
I
sense?
think I think when I emerged into the scene, it was because I did a lot of work for a lot of singers prior to me being solo in the
Hmm.
Punjabi scene. It was very Bhangra, UK Bhangra, and I came into that scene, and that was what was working. I needed a full-time job, so I'm like, okay, I need to. I enjoy Bhangra music. I enjoy UK Bhangra music. I enjoy hip hop. I enjoy everything else. Hence, my albums were very broad. They weren't just Bhangra. They've
Yeah.
never just been Bhangra, right? Because I enjoyed making a lot of music, and I enjoyed Bhangra as well. So it was obviously UK was in the forefront of Punjabi music then. So I think I just came in at the right time as well for me to showcase what I did and how I did it and just the kind of sound I wanted to bring out there, which I did. And there
Mhm.
was, a lot of people had their versions of my sound afterwards, which was a great thing. I've never been
Mm.
that kind of guy to say, you copy me. I don't really care, to be honest.
Mm.
Like you carry on. It makes you happy because I'm doing other stuff anyway. I can continue
Mm.
with that sound and I can evolve my sound. I think lately with the shift of music mainly being focused from North America, that's the focal point, North America and in India right now. The UK kind of missed the boat, or they didn't evolve, or they got stuck in their way. Um, I can see a shift happening now, right? Where, even a lot of music I'm producing now, all my clients now, my artists now, we're in that current sound of Punjabi music, right? But I think that ended in 2026, 2017, 28, that started changing where the UK sound was just stagnant. It was the same.
Why do you think that was?
Well, you got amazing artists like Musiala that came. He came out with G-Wagon, which is his first one. Second I heard that song, Raj, I knew it was going to be the biggest thing. I
Mm.
remember saying this to you probably know Manish,
Yeah.
the tour player. Yeah. So like I remember saying to him, I said, I've not heard this before, and you can see where this singer's going to take it. And I remember saying to him the first time I heard G-Wagon was produced by Deep Jandu, I said this guy's going to be huge. Then came So High, and then the rest is history. Music
Mm.
flipped. Then it became from what was happening in North America, and I believe our border system's to blame
What do you mean?
because I explain why. So name me a singer born and bred in North America, right? That has made it huge. They
Yeah.
haven't.
Yeah.
They're all from India,
Yeah.
and the opportunity in the UK ended, right? So they all went to North America.
Mm.
If Sidhu came to me or your True School or your Zeus or whatever, and do you know what I mean, around here, in this country, if the opportunity was here, we would continue our music journey and the UK still be in its forefront, right?
Mm.
But everyone chose to go to Toronto, Vancouver, North America,
Yeah.
and
There were.
that's exactly what happened. The shift on music happened with the talent going
Mm.
to the different continents. Do you know what I mean?
What about like because at one point we had it wasn't just the singers and production. The UK band scene was immense, and I don't think we'll ever get those days back. When we had the
They were
UK, because
brilliant. They were brilliant. Live music was just amazing then. I mean,
and we
amazing.
and we were at
I
the
mean, the good
forefront of
thing
it.
is now with like Diljit, with Gordon's concerts, um, they're bringing live music. Do you know what I mean? But and the good thing is it's on a massive scale,
It
and
is,
that is
yes,
what we dreamt of as a brown skin, musician and
yeah.
music listener, and just generally seeing them guys do that on stage with a live band is brilliant.
Hmm.
So everything works in full circles, man. It just everyone has their, every country or whatever, every scene, every market has their period, has their ceiling point at some point. People get under people, it will always shift and
Hmm.
it's always a full circle. There will be, we're working hard now, and a lot of producers in the UK, myself, Manny Sandhu, etc. We're working super hard,
Hmm.
bringing out the sound that is what Punjabi music is now. And it's only a matter of time, man. So, have some faith in the UK. But the live scene's got a bit more work to do.
Yeah.
But I think what is helping the live scene is having, you know, the mega stars like Karan, like Diljit, doing that on a big scale at concerts with live music. They can easily go with a backing track and carry on and dance.
Yeah.
They choose to do it with live bands, and I think that is a great catalyst. And eventually, it'll be full circle, and the live scene will be up again.
Do you reckon there's enough young people learning instruments for the live scene in the
I
UK?
think so. I think so. I just think, like I said, that I think the UK needs a catalyst,
Hmm.
and the catalyst will be artists that the young artists that are emerging from the UK now.
Hmm.
They need time um, to get to a level where they are performing live. Do you know what I mean?
Gotcha.
And when that's in demand, who do we have right now? The same Legends bands. Nothing against them; they're all friends of mine.
Hmm.
Legends bands, and just the same ones that we always see,
Yeah.
right? Or they do, or the bands here do work for singers that come from abroad, and that's what
Yeah.
it is. The singers need to be present.
Hmm.
Like the live scene will have a lot more work if the singers are getting the work,
Hmm.
right? And the singers from here need to be on that scale. So the new singers that are emerging now, the young talent, they need time to build their content
Hmm.
to get more popular to be live.
Hmm. What
It's
what I
just
find
time
with the
right now.
what I find with the singers here, Boops, I mean, I was telling you about, when I came to your studio, it's a lot of that be and this and in this day and age, you've got shortcuts because the way you can manipulate your voice. So the live singing's not really there. Like last year, we did about 12 medley around the country, and it was the same. The artists basically they were just miming over the
I mean,
tracks. Yeah, miming, and really the some these are some massive artists, and what I mean massive, they're like 100,000 listeners a month and whatever, but the live singing wasn't actually there,
yeah.
you know.
No, I can see that. I mean, one unfortunate reality is when if you hear a singer perform live to what they recorded is going to be different.
Mm,
Firstly, the environment. Secondly, the key they're singing.
yeah.
Now, when a singer is performing live, if they're a high pitched singer on your F and your F sharps,
Mm,
that's a lot of strain on the voice,
yeah,
especially for a 2.5 hour
yeah, you
performance.
can't do that.
Whatever it is, you can't sustain that,
No.
right? So they would lower their pitch by two semitones for
Yeah.
their vocal cord to be sustainable. So that's why it does never sounds the same live than it does recorded,
Mm,
musically as well, but just their voice in general. So for a 20-minute performance at a Miller, for example, right? How costly would it be to have a whole band, right? Or is it easier just playing and being more affordable? Playing it,
absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
playing a CD in the back and having to sing over that because performing live, moving live, singing that high, that's a lot of strain on your voice
Mhm.
physically. Do you know what I mean? So how do you sustain that? So I mean, the easiest thing would be to sing in the key that you can perform in live, right?
Mhm.
But sometimes it doesn't sound better. Like your Daljit Mattus, for example,
Exactly. Yeah.
blast from the past. Um, hence I chose that name. But I'm saying, if he sings ridiculously high, but
Yeah.
you can't do that live,
No.
especially if you're moving, right? So you have to mime because that's what your customers want to hear.
Yeah.
If punters are come to the Miller and they hear something which is two semitones down, sounds nothing like it,
Mhm.
you're not going to have that same emphasis for a
The energy
short.
is not going to be there, innit? Huh? The energy.
Energy's not going to be there for a short performance.
Mm.
Hence, they have to mime.
Mm.
Do you know what I
But
mean?
even then, like when I did that on, um, as I was saying to you, like when I do vocals now, man, we practice 2 3 weeks every single day to try and make sure when you do hit the recording session, the need for
There's
auto
no
tune
error.
minimum,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know, it's minimum. But I've seen people on TikTok they record it, put some mad effects on it, and the song's gone viral.
It's crazy. But
Yeah.
the thing is, that just comes down to look, I did a song called Black Magic here, 2000 and when did I do that? 18,
Hmm.
16, 17, 18. That blew up, right? I was singing it auto-tuned as crazy, right? but it was deliberately done. So there's two ways of looking at it. You can choose. There's so many artists that sound terrible without autotune
Yeah.
because it adds to their characteristic
Yeah.
of their vocal. Yeah. But if you are that artist that does not want to showcase that and your voice doesn't sound good with autotune, then you want to get your recording right.
Mm.
You know what I mean? So, but see, autotune can be used in a clever way. It can be used to bring to kind of tame you in, but not push that sound, not push that effect that is prominent in your vocal. So it can be
Mm.
used as a tool of reining your out of key peaks in, right? Or it could be used cleverly, artistically to enhance your vocal.
Gotcha.
Do you
Yeah.
know what I mean? For me, 100%, if I'm doing a vocal, I've got a song which hit 30 million views with Milan Gaba for through T Series, which I released in 2018 for Long Watcher.
Yeah.
Just another rendition of it. And I'm singing, right, the main chorus. No one knows it's me. But the thing is, and I use minimum autotune, but the autotune I did use was to rein my peaks in. Because I'm
Mm.
not a trained singer.
No.
I just know how to direct a singer, right? So I'll try it here and there. But yeah, there's different ways of using autotune. If you use it to rein it in, that's fine. If you use it just for an artistic purpose, nothing wrong with that.
No. No, that makes
Right.
sense. Yeah, it makes sense. So anyway, onwards. Punjabi music. How do you strike a balance? Because Punjabi music we've got so much culture and tradition from Punjab. How do you balance that while pushing boundaries and innovating? Like Sidhu Moosewala, for example. How do you do that?
I think firstly is your content, lyrical content. It's got to be it's if you are making hip hop or drill or whatever, because everyone's doing it now, you know, and you're making Afro, your music's your music. I think keeping it authentic and keeping it balanced and keeping it still in tune with where you're from, your lyrical content has to be there, right? I don't like working with artists. I mean, if I'm releasing material where, you know, ਉਹ ਇੱਕ ਲਾਤੇ ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਬੋਲਦੇ ਆ and like they're lyrical, they're not rich enough. Do you know what I mean? Lyrically, I go back and forth on a song all the time. Do you know what I mean? If it's a purpose-made song and it has to be simple, that's fine. But if it's a song that's going to have a lot of hidden messages in there, your Punjabi has to be right, the writing has to be good, right? And it has to, you know, because it's good, then it'll be relatable to somebody listening to in India.
Absolutely.
My music works in Punjab, right? If I release any type of song, Punjab to chalna, and it's gonna and Toronto, etc., they're gonna like it. I see that on my insights. I see that on my Spotify, where my listeners are coming from, because I know if I'm gonna drop a song, lyrically, composition-wise, it's gonna be there, right? And it's gonna be in tune with something. If I'm focusing on a particular gal that's relevant to something in Punjab, right? It's gonna hit, but lyrically, it has to be there. So finding that fine balance musically, I don't think that's a problem now. You can pretty much drop anything musically. It can be any genre. It doesn't matter. I think your vocals have to be tight. Your lyrical content has to be great. And I think composition-wise, that's where you can either hit or miss, but that's just trial and error with everyone. I think lyrically is very important. And delivery of those lyrics is important.
No, I agree with you because music's changed so much. There's space for everything now.
There is is. I mean, look at one of the biggest songs this year's Nana by Diljit and Badshah. Yeah. It was an Afro chill song, right? It's just chilling musically. It's not an item number for a Bollywood movie. No, it's not your Fairy Gold say or your London Dumakda big Bollywoody like
Gotcha, yeah.
None of that crap. It was just a chilled out track.
Hi guys, this is Raj Kaul. Thanks so much for listening to the podcast. If you want to support the rest of my music, if you could go and check me out on Spotify, on Apple Music, and add my songs to your playlists if you like them. Thank you.
याद तेरी जद आउंदी सोहणीए साह साडे रुक जांदे ने
and
Mm.
it was just chilled, a vibe. It was just you can drive, you can sing along to it. You know you're on your iPod, you're just relaxing. But it was just lyrically, it was exactly what the song needed. But composition wise, it just hit. Do you know what I mean? Because so I'm saying musically, anything goes now,
Mm.
right? And I think your lyrical content has to be right, and then your composition naturally will flow. And I think that's all you really need to concentrate on in this day
Mm.
and age. Like you see a lot of music that comes out now, they've just got a sample from online, put a hip hop beat on top of it, whether that's another sample, and then they're just singing anything, right? Which is fine, but you can tell your trained artist or an artist that he has thought about it a bit more than rather those 99% of stuff that comes out now, which is just the same stuff, right?
Mm.
Really, everything, a lot of the stuff that's coming out now can just be one long song. Yeah.
So again, do you think like the stuff that's coming out in North America, do you think they've become stagnant?
I don't think they become stagnant. I just think they're following the herd, which is good. I mean, like if you got Shub who's smashing it, you got
Yeah.
Karan, you got Diljit's obviously here and there, wherever he's from. You
Mm.
got you got your big names, right?
Mm.
So they're gonna set precedents, right? It's the same thing that the UK did, Raj. If this is working now, yeah, if this is the sound, if this is what's working, if this is the lyrical content, we're going to work on two chords throughout the whole song and just change the melody, keep the same melody for the chorus, keep the same melody for the verses, because
Mm.
it works. So would they become? I don't think they've become stagnant. I think they've just become repetitive.
Mm. It's really interesting because when I mentioned the band scene before, the band scene wasn't like that. The production scene was like in the UK, but the band scene, every band had their own sound. Like Soldiers had their own sound, DCS had their own sound, Alarp had their own sound, and that's what I miss. Like me personally, because I'm from that era.
So
But
Raj, and that's what I'm saying. I don't think that's a band issue. I don't ever think it was a band issue. The band's evolved.
Mm. Yep.
Their equipment got better. Their talent was better. They there was a lot more love for it. They had bigger shows. It's just the singers weren't here.
Yeah, gotcha.
And I'm telling you, it's the singers. If like the singers come in here now, I mean, like, there's a lot of them, like Jordan. Originally, he's from Amritsar.
Okay.
You wouldn't know, right? He came here when he was 8 years old or 9 years old. So he's been here since a kid, and you got a lot of that talent. Yeah, that's coming
Mhm.
through now.
Yeah.
The band's only got stagnant because the singers weren't available, and it was the
Mm.
same singers all the time who got old,
Yeah.
right? So it's just a case of the new generation that are emerging, they're going to get bigger, and the band
Mm.
scene will come in. So,
Brilliant.
everything works in a full circle.
And they're still performing those the old generation, aren't they?
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. Because I mean, we've got Raf Sapera now, and we've
Yeah.
got JK's been doing his thing for the last
Yeah.
decade. Do you know what I mean? He's brilliant live. But we need more emerging singers, but which we will.
Yeah.
And it's just time. It's just time. Just having patience.
So you worked with quite a variety of artists, especially back in the day, like and even now with Jordan and stuff. What do you think makes a successful collaboration, and how do you bring out the best of artists that work with you?
I think that's a lot with for me and Jordan, for example. I mean, I'm working with them a lot now. That was just a natural process, absolutely natural process where I love hip hop. I do a lot of hip hop. I do a lot of drill. I do a lot of Afro. I do a lot of reggaeton. I love my urban stuff. Even my Punjabi Bhangra music now isn't Bhangra. Apart from my
Yeah,
album, I've got one full-on Bhangra song just
can't
called.
wait.
It's a brilliant song. Um, and it was very fun to produce that because that felt different for me this time around to do that. But I think mine and his process, you have to think the same. But you don't have to think the same, as in you got to be on the same page eventually.
Hmm.
And he can bring something to the table where I can contribute to it. And if I find that he's wrong in something, like he can take it, right? If the other way around, if he proves me wrong in something, I can take it. And I think that's a mutual understanding for a collaboration is important. Me and him have worked on so much material. When he came, in 3 months, we banged out about 20 songs. No, in
Wow.
that 2 months, we banged out 20 songs,
Gosh.
right? Because it was just a natural process. I think when your chemistry is just very fluent, right, you're only going to get better. I'll
Mm.
give you an example. Like 2 days ago, Jordan came. I haven't seen him in like a month because I've been gigging. He's been busy building his studio as well. So like there's a lot going on. And then we made in 2 days we made 2 tracks, right?
Easy.
Committed, done, ready. Do you know what I mean? Because we know how each other work, we know how each other think.
Mm.
Where there's when he's performed something where he knows he can make it better without me even saying, he'd be like, yeah, just delete because I know what you're gonna say. Right? Do you know what I mean? It's become that natural, fluent process. And I
Mm.
think that's the key for a good collaboration. Do you know what I
Amazing.
mean?
Amazing. So what we're almost finished, by the way. It's the conversations have flowed.
Yeah.
Oh
Which is
wow. It's been
crazy.
great chatting to you, Bups.
You too,
Honestly,
man.
it's really insightful. What are some of the biggest challenges you faced in the music industry, particularly as a producer?
I think the biggest challenges I faced in the music industry was it's just the clients themselves, to be honest. Like when I saw the shift, I was very busy when the UK was on top.
Clients as in
Um,
from a DJ or a producer.
of a producer perspective.
Sure, sure.
But there's, I mean, with the DJs, and I'll come to that as well.
Yeah.
But then when a lot of the shifts started happening, where a lot of singers weren't available in the UK, or because they didn't feel the need to, there wasn't anyone, there wasn't much work,
Yeah.
right? And it's always difficult picking up the phone. It's not difficult. I mean, I can phone somebody right now in Punjab, big name, or Canada. We can have a conversation. The buddy, we're waiting for those vocals, da 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 da. It'll be several months before anything or nothing at all, right?
Mm.
And that's the challenges that we face as producers, that we find that it's difficult trying to get A-listers or whatever to work with you, or because just they're good to you when they're talking to you, but then when it comes to the work, they're just still there, or they don't want to do it and they can't tell you. Either way, so I think that's the most difficult thing, and waiting. So say you are working with an artist, just waiting.
Yeah.
Like me having singers at my disposal here, or anyone in the UK, say we have the A-listers here, they can come into my studio, record, and they can be done with, right?
Mm.
Gone, where you have to wait for them to send you the materials. And I think the waiting game's a big problem as a producer now, living in the UK, right?
Mm.
For me, anyway. Do you know what I mean? I do get a lot of work. I've got a lot of big client work, um, which is brilliant, but you're still waiting. Do you know what I
Absolutely.
mean? Where like Jordan, I'll say, Jordan, what you doing? Come, I got an idea, da da da, slap it. Cheers. Let's go for a meal. Do you know what I mean? It's that simple. And I
Yeah.
think that's why there's a lot more music coming out from North America now, because the singers are there and the producers are there.
True.
Everyone can walk in through the door and record. And
Mm.
that's the difference. We used to have that here,
Yeah.
but then obviously the shift happened. As a DJ, I think pre-COVID, I can't remember having any days off. Like it was insane. And I think after COVID as well, obviously people, and obviously with the financial crunch and everything now. I mean, I'm not a cheap DJ, because I'm a very good DJ, big name. We got roadshows doing great. Um, but then we do find there's a lot of there's a lot more dog eat dog now than it used to be before.
Mm.
And especially when people are watching their pennies. Um, it's become a lot more harder, where you do get somebody who's literally half the price of me, right?
Wow.
And one show. But you get what you pay for, really.
Mm.
So I've kind of and the problem is with an artist DJ myself, you can't lower your prices too much either, because of what you've worked to achieve.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Here you are in this industry. So it's a very fine line. Um but yeah, so those are the only challenges. And plus people want to try new things out. So there's a lot of changes, a lot more DJs. They're literally growing off trees now, right? So that's in the wedding scene.
Yeah.
I tend not to do a lot of club shows. 2 reasons. Firstly, I gotta take the kids to school every morning. And secondly, I think because there's a lot more nights and everything happening now, it's just again, it's just, the promoters, they're not as generous as they used to be.
Mm.
As you understand. So
Yeah, absolutely.
I think in the performance side of things, I think that's what we struggle with is the fact that where the budgets are now,
Yeah,
right? Where if you're booking me for a wedding, you're gonna get a extravaganza. You're
yeah,
gonna get me hosting it. So like, that all comes and at a price where you can get somebody literally half the price and then you regret it later.
yeah.
But it's just the way the world is, Raj. It's just it's a bit more tougher than it used to be, but I've got my production, which I do a lot. I've got my other businesses, which there's a lot going on,
Yeah.
and that's another thing as well. Is I think me and a couple of others that I know in this industry, we did the right thing by investing our money that we were making because I made a lot of money, right?
Mm.
And by just putting that in the right places, buying properties and all that stuff. So like, but that's the same advice I would give to any emerging DJ now and any producer. You make your money, bricks and mortar, build your investment because that wave doesn't last forever.
Mm.
I know in the next few years, 5 years, I want to be gone. Do you know what I mean? I want to try something else. I've done this for what, 2 decades now?
Don't say that.
Yeah. No,
I
no, no.
enjoy
But
your
the thing
music.
is,
I enjoy your music, bro.
no, 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 you can't. No, I mean, I'll still make music, I think, from the
Yeah.
live scene.
Acha,
I
acha.
think another 5 years, I'm done because I want to focus a lot more music. And my kids are
Good.
growing up. It'd be nice spending time with them. But yeah, so it's just everyone has that. I think Sidhu said in his interview once, he goes, he's going to be here for about 5 years, or you have your peak for about five,
Yeah.
5 to 6, 7, 10 years. I mean, I lasted a decade. I don't even know how that happened, right? But like it's and I'm still going, which is cool. But yeah, it's I think there comes a time where you got to I think for me, I think I want to try other things in my life to see what
Mm.
else I'm good at. You know what I mean? I love music and I love food, so I might open up my own samosa shop. You don't know. Do you know
No,
what I
that
mean?
kind of thing. Make
Yeah,
some
yeah.
rotis.
No, I
Yeah.
do that because I love cooking. So I cook at
Yeah.
home majority of the
Nice.
time because I enjoy it.
Nice.
So I don't know. I'll see where my potential lies.
Brilliant. We're coming to the end of the podcast. So the podcast is about, as I've said at the start, it's about in the pursuit of musical excellence. And I asked most of my guests, if I remember, sometimes boil down there. So, what does musical excellence mean to you, and how do you maintain that standard in your work?
I think musical excellence for you to maintain um, and stay relevant is to have a broad awareness of music and acceptance of music. If you think that there's only one way of doing something and one way something should be produced, you're wrong. You need to accept there's different methods, there's different styles of music, and there's different people doing it differently, and you just got to be more aware and accepting of the how music has evolved, how music has changed, how there's new artists, and just accept all that knowledge with love and bring that into your, and into your workplace. If you find something that, okay, they've done it differently, you shouldn't be doing it like that. But hold on a second, but the song's a hit, so maybe that's a good way of doing it. Do you know what I mean? So you got to be
Mm.
musically aware. You got to have a broad awareness and accepting that there's better ways or other ways of doing things that may just be the right way because music shifts, trends shift, and you got to learn to move with that for you to be relevant.
That's amazing. So just about your future projects, you want to let the audience know of what will be what's coming up?
Okay, so from my solo album, I haven't got official title yet. So that's a 12-track album. That's actually coming out on Movie Box. I've got my own EP to follow after that. So the first single from that is called At Tera Jat. That's with Afsana Khan. So that's dropping in the next few weeks. Now I'm a bit more available. We're going to get all the fine lines and everything drawn out and then that out. Jordan, he's got a EP called Madame. India call him Madam. So that's coming out. That's brilliant. And then after that, we've got another EP called Major. That's coming out. My album's dropping, singles in between. just a lot going on, Raj. Everyone's going to hear it, and it's going to
Fantastic.
be the album is my culmination of my last music from the last decade that I've enjoyed making into one amazing piece of work, and you're going to enjoy it. It's my favorite album of the lot.
Can't wait. Absolutely can't wait. So, where can the audience follow you on social media? If you want to just give your social media tags, website tags, anything like that.
Yeah, it's just at Bups Saggu. So that's on your Insta, Snapchat, TikTok, and Facebook. Google me, YouTube Bups Saggu. So I'm pretty much everywhere. You can't just type Bups. I should be at the top. If not, then
Awesome.
no problem. But yeah, they can find me pretty much anywhere, man.
That's fantastic. Thank you so much, Bups.
Cheers, Raj, man. Thanks for having
Honestly,
me.
honestly been it's been an absolute privilege and really insightful. I've learnt a lot from you, just chatting to you as well. So, guys, that's Bups Saggu. If you could make sure you follow him on all his socials and look out for his upcoming album and leave a review for the podcast. Just leave it on YouTube. Leave any comments and share it, please, if you can as well. So, God bless you all. I'm signing this podcast out and hopefully see you in the fall.